Perfect. Well, we'll go ahead and get started so we can make good use of everyone's time today. Hello, everyone. My name is Danny Clough. I am the Channel Marketing Coordinator on the QGive team. Today, I'm joined by Brendan Smith from QGive's Business Development team, and of course, our speaker, Stephanie Tippett, who's going to be talking about how tactical digital marketing can boost your fundraising efforts. I'm going to make sure I'm sharing my screen for all of you. That is my fault. Sorry, everyone. There we go. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. A few house notes before we begin today. We are recording the webinar, so all registrants will be receiving an email tomorrow with a link to the session, as well as some additional free resources. Please feel free to use the chat to chat with me and Brendan and Stephanie, as well as your peers who are on the webinar today. If you have any questions, we definitely want to hear them, so please add them to the Q&A section. But if that's not working for any reason, you can add them to the chat and I will keep track of that and make sure that Stephanie's able to answer those at the end. Perfect. Oh. Before we get started, for those who are unfamiliar with QGive, we are an online fundraising platform. We have solutions for all sizes of nonprofits, including year-round fundraising tools, text giving, peer-to-peer fundraising, and auction tools. If any of those options sound like something that could benefit you for your fundraising, please reach out to QGive. We would love to chat with you and find out what's going to work best for you. We're also so excited to refer all of our nonprofit friends to our amazing partner network. One of those, of course, being BDI Agency, who we have Stephanie from today. BDI seeks to be an extension of your team as they work to help you reach all of your marketing and fundraising goals while releasing generosity into the world. And as I mentioned earlier, joining us today is Stephanie Tippett. She's the Vice President of Digital Strategy for BDI Agency. Stephanie is coming to us with more than 20 years of experience in digital media and cross-channel marketing. She uses that experience to help guide our clients through digital development, and we are so fortunate to have her today. So if you're a note taker like I am, grab your pens, your pencils, paper, get those out now because I'm going to hand it over so Stephanie can get things rolling for us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I'm going to share my screen here. And Danny, you're going to tell me if that's working like you and I hope it is.
Yes.
Awesome.
You're all good.
I'm all good. Yay. Well, first, welcome everyone. Thank you to the QGive team for this opportunity. And thank you to everyone listening in to the webinar today. I know your time is precious. I thought first I would share just a little bit about me and why I'm talking to you today about digital, and that's something that I'm really passionate about. As Danny mentioned, I work with BDI. We are a full-service marketing and fundraising agency that partners with cause and faith-driven organizations. I have the privilege of leading the digital marketing program with a really smart and talented team. Real quick, my professional background began at an agency as a media buyer in radio and TV. Not going to say my age, but before internet was a thing. How's that? From there, the first half of my career was spent in corporate marketing for a variety of large for-profit companies. Learned a lot and I loved it. I honestly just, man, I was in college for marketing, always loved it, still do to this day. I shifted about 15 years ago into the nonprofit marketing space, and I've been working with BDI for over 10 years, and I've had the wonderful and amazing opportunity to build the digital program really from the ground up. My digital background has a lot of hands-on experience, which I think has helped me navigate digital as it continues to evolve. Back in the early days, I was the one building emails. I was the one updating websites. Gosh, I had my hands in everything from ASP to WordPress to Dreamweaver. If anybody remembers Dreamweaver, now I know I'm dating myself for real. But I loved it. I loved it, honestly, still do. I still kind of tinker when they let me. Flash forward to today, and we have a really robust digital team that works on all aspects of digital, including cultivation that focuses on email and web marketing, and digital acquisition, which uses all of the paid media channels that you're familiar with out there today: Facebook, paid search, display, audio, all that fun stuff. So today, we are going to explore digital a little bit more and how it can take your fundraising efforts to the next level. And with the economy tightening up, nonprofits are under even more pressure to make every fundraising dollar count. And while direct mail has traditionally been a cornerstone of fundraising efforts, and it's still a real powerful driver, we're seeing a significant shift towards digital channels. So why is digital marketing so important for fundraising? And why should organizations move more of their fundraising dollars into digital channels? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. So let's get started. As Danny mentioned, our topic is From Clicks to Donations: How Tactical Digital Marketing Can Boost Your Fundraising. Today, we're going to talk about 5 key topics in this area: why digital is essential for growth, how to build a digital strategy that gets results, how to leverage your organic and paid media, how to optimize email campaigns for donations, and how we measure success and boost ROI in your program. So first, let's talk about why digital is essential for growth. Number 1, digital enables you to reach more potential donors. With the rise of digital technology, fundraising has shifted towards more digital channels, and there are more digital channels to consider. It's important to take advantage of this trend to reach a wider audience. Digital can help you reach potential donors where they spend most of their time: online. Digital is also really cost effective. Digital can be more cost effective than traditional marketing. By using social media, email, and other digital channels, you can reach a large audience without the higher cost sometimes that's involved with print or TV advertising. In fact, OTT and CTV, which has gained a lot of traction in recent years when you're watching all of our streaming shows that we all do, that can be more cost effective and a good alternate to traditional TV or DRTV that's often used in fundraising. In a recent report by M&R, their recent study they just published, they reported that paid search actually delivered the best return on ad spend of all the digital channels in their survey, which I think we're seeing as well in with our clients and their marketing. Next, digital provides measurable results. With digital, you can track and measure the results of your campaigns in real time, which is really cool. You don't have to send direct mail out and then wait for a while for that to come back. This allows you to adjust your strategies and make data-driven decisions to improve your results. If a campaign's working well, you keep it going. If the campaign's not performing, it can quickly be turned off or a new creative switched out. Next, digital is really valuable for building brand awareness. By consistently promoting your message across multiple digital channels, you can create a cohesive brand image and establish trust with your potential donors. But one last thought on that, as our organizations shift and change, sometimes our brand may not be current and may not be a current reflection even of your organization. So before you begin really with your big next effort in digital, we recommend doing a brand audit. So you take a hard look at your brand and how is it communicated today across all your materials and channels? Does it still reflect the identity, value, and mission of your organization? And if not, maybe it's time for a refresh. Doesn't have to be something huge, or maybe it's time for a rebrand. So before you venture in, that might be something to look at. And this one. And if you're not convinced yet, if you've got a board or you have people in your organization that are still not sure about digital, you should check this out. So there were 311 million internet users in the US at the start of 2023. That's an internet penetration rate of almost 92%. There were 235 million users aged 18 and above using social media. That's 88%. That is a lot of people online today. Next, we're going to move into how to build a digital marketing strategy. And I've got a lot of information to share, and I'm going to hop back and forth on a few things. So I hope you're ready. So the first step in building a digital marketing strategy is to define your goals. Are you looking to raise a certain amount of revenue? Do you want to acquire a specific number of donors? Are you looking to build your brand awareness so you need to serve a large number of impressions in your market? Once you know your goals, you can build a strategy that's tailored to achieving them. And these goals can work together, building your brand and raising revenue. This sample display ad that I'm showing here, this was for an awareness campaign, but it also had a fundraising CTA. And we built several of these ads that did both, which was part of our objective. The next thing is to know your audience. Really, who are your potential donors? What are the key demographics that you know about them from your donor file? Their age, their household income, their education, gender, geography, charitable interests. What motivates them to give? What are the online behaviors and preferences? Explore data modeling also as another way to further advance your targeting methods. And by answering these questions, you can create a more targeted and effective fundraising campaign. And here's just a practical tip as well. Knowing your audience is going to inform the digital channels that you select. So for instance, if your donor skews older and female, which I know a lot of our donor audiences do, we know that Facebook is a strong channel for that demographic. Next, you want to use data to optimize your strategy. The digital channels themselves provide a wealth of data that can be used to optimize your campaigns. Use tools like Google Analytics that track website traffic, and they really track that whole journey of where they enter, where they exit, medium and source. There's so much data in there you can get buried in. There's also social media analytics that measure engagement. Facebook itself tells you things about the engagement on the back end. If you're using a DSP, or maybe your media partner is using a DSP for you, tons of data that comes through that platform that you can help learn and inform and improve your targeting. But this data will help you identify what's working and what's not, and help you make informed decisions to improve your campaign. And next, I know you hear this a lot, and you're going to hear it from me a couple of times in this presentation, but test and iterate, and honestly test everything, because we can't assume to know. In our digital program, testing is a regular process and cadence in all of our campaigns. We try different messaging, different visuals, different audiences, selection criteria, channels, I don't know, you name it, we test it. Donation page, subject lines and emails, art and emails. All of it is really valuable, and it just really helps you evolve your program and hone in and improve your response rates. Don't be afraid to make changes if something isn't working. The key to success is being flexible and willing to adapt. And don't assume to know how your audiences are going to respond. I have been wrong so many times. I've lost dinners over it, where we bet which email art is going to win. And often we all pick the wrong one. So again, test everything. Next, this next one specifically is really important to the success of your overall campaigns, but it often gets overlooked. It's not sexy, I'm going to say, but it's so important. This topic is talking about choosing your digital platforms carefully. You want to choose tools that use modern digital fundraising best practices. This includes your website CMS, your donation platform, your email marketing platform, and your tracking tools. These platforms are the foundation of your digital marketing program. And we're going to talk more about it in the next slide. And the last thing on here, also super important, is to develop a multi-channel approach. Digital marketing is about using multiple channels to reach your audience. This can include social media, email, paid advertising, content marketing, and more. By creating a multi-channel approach, you can reach potential donors across various touch points, increasing the likelihood of conversion. Traditional marketing would support contacting a potential donor at least 7 times to get them to act. And I know you can Google it and there's all kinds of different numbers, but I think that 7 times still holds true. A multi-channel approach helps you reach that frequency. And it also helps you reach your donors where they are, right? If they're on Facebook, if they're watching a streaming show, maybe they get it, then on your cultivation side, they get an email, maybe they get direct mail from you. All of those are touches helping, giving them the reason to act. And your channel mix will be created in part based on your goals, your audience, and your budget, because there's always a practical side, right? You may want to spend $1 million in the market. Your organization may not have that, and that's okay. You can start small. I wanted to share a little bit more about the value of choosing a good, solid digital platform. So again, choosing your platforms carefully. Those platforms include your website CMS, as we talked about, the website CMS. So your website should tell your story and the story of those you serve. It should funnel donors directly to your donation page. It's important to share the information about your organization, but remember your website has a job. Mobile first, fast, and SEO optimized. You can track your website conversion rate and use that as a metric to improve. Your donation platform is critical, and I'm going to come back to that one because in my opinion, that's one of the most important ones. Your email marketing, your ESP. So your email marketing platform, it needs to do the basics. It needs to support A/B testing. It should support automated drip campaigns, list management, segmentation, and it should have an easy and robust and mobile-friendly builder so that your team can build effective and engaging emails. Next, your tracking tools. Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager are still the most widely used tracking platforms today, and GA4 is introducing another level of attribution tracking and modeling. Honestly, we run everything with Analytics and Tag is vital to be able to track measurements and results on your paid media campaigns. But I'm going to flip back to that donation platform. The donation platform is key. It really must make it easy for the donor to give in the way they want to give. It must support Tag Manager tracking. It must have robust reporting direct on the platform. It should have monthly giving nudges. And in the end, the donation page conversion rate should be monitored against your historical benchmarks, and also industry benchmarks. And industry benchmarks today sitting at 17% or higher. And why am I putting so much focus on this? And it's not because this is a QGIve webinar. I'm going to say that I talk about donation platforms every day, all day, and anyone who knows me can attest. Why? Because the job of your digital campaigns is to drive traffic to your website and your donation page, period. So you could spend a ton of money in market, but if you're driving to a website that doesn't have that donation ask throughout the site, or if you're driving to a donation page that has a low conversion rate, you're wasting money. So if you want to drive traffic to the highest converting page you can create. And just by improving your website and donation page conversion rates, you can increase your revenue without spending any extra ad dollars. And I have math that's going to show that. Okay, so here's the math. So let's pretend we have 100 leads that we sent to a donation page that has a 13% conversion rate. Times $150 average gift, you're going to generate $19,500 in revenue, right? So let's say you improve your donation page. So either you move to a platform that has a stronger conversion rate, or you optimize your current donation form, either way to get a better conversion rate. So let's take those 1,000 leads at that really low kind of bottom metric that we're seeing in the industry of a 17% conversion rate times $150 average gift. Now you generate $25,500. That's a 31% increase in revenue on the same ad spend. So that is why, in my opinion, your donation platform and your website are very, very important, and you must make an investment there first. And we also talked about the value of multi-channel marketing. And this is just a really quick slide. Obviously, there's a ton more channels than this, but this just gives you an idea of some of the key channels and platforms. that you might be using to support your digital marketing and multi-channels. And then this next slide, I just wanted to share an example of kind of maybe how this plays out in the real world. So for us, we work really hard to create integrated online, offline campaigns. So that means if we have direct mail in the market, we're going to often present that offer. It will look different, but we're going to present that offer in our online channels as well. And this particular campaign was strictly a digital campaign, but it used multiple channels. So as you can see here, we have an email campaign that went to a donation page. We have a Facebook campaign that went to a donation page. We have a light box. There was also, I believe, display ads that went along and complemented this campaign. And the art across all, so it was integrated so that no matter if you saw it on Facebook or you saw it in email or you saw it in display, again, I'm trying to hit that 7-time frequency to encourage somebody to give. So that's my spiel on the value of multi-channel marketing, donation platforms, and overall just choosing really strong platforms to support your digital fundraising program. So next, we're going to talk about the value of leveraging organic and paid media. And I know there's a lot to unpack in this one. So with organic and paid, first, it's important to understand the difference, right? So in organic, what we're really talking about are the organic posts that your team might be putting out there on Facebook, Instagram, maybe you use LinkedIn, maybe you're still using Twitter. And that content should be a variety of content that supports your organization and really shares who you are and content that gets your folks to engage. But you also often will have paid media that's running, and that's the paid social piece. So what we recommend is really you want your organic and paid to work together. And if you're working, and don't keep them in separate silos, but if you work them together, they can boost performance on both. And a way to do that from a practical standpoint is to create a social media content calendar and to coordinate that content on organic to support paid. And this is what that might look like. This is an example of a social media calendar that we create for our clients that includes kind of all of that. So, and our clients also will most likely add to this content that we don't know, but we want to start them out with. Here's kind of some of the holidays that you might want to mention on your feed. Whoops, what did I do there? Let me go back. There's always something in these, right? There it is. And in this calendar, we also make sure to include the paid media ads that are running so that they know when paid media is in the market, and then they can provide content that supports those paid media ads. And that might look like giving campaign updates, impact statements, success stories, volunteer stories, and then maybe the final results of the campaign that was out in the market at that time. So this can be a great way just for your internal team to take the guesswork out of how to use your social channels. And you can pre-schedule, obviously, those posts. You can be writing them in advance. But I think the best thing about it is that then you're not stepping over each other, maybe on your paid media team and your organic social team, because everybody knows what's going to be happening and what's going to be in market. Next, we're going to talk about optimizing email campaigns for donations. But first, there's a question we have to answer, and everybody asks all the time. So let's answer it. Are we sending too much email? I'm going to say the answer is no, we are not sending too much email. According to the M&R 2023 study, nonprofits sent 60 email messages per subscriber in 2022. And I've been tracking this study for a couple of years, and that number has gone up. I'm pretty sure every year they've done their study. And of the 60, 29 of them were fundraising appeals. Now, I think what's really important there is that we're not sending 60 asks, right, to the same person. So you want to make sure that you send a variety of content. And the other important thing to note in here is that in their benchmarks, email accounted for 14% of all online revenue. So obviously, email is a main part of your digital fundraising program. And we also recommend running concurrent email acquisition campaigns to grow that file because there is so much opportunity still in email. So next, let's talk a little bit more about how to optimize email for fundraising and what does that look like. So first, you want to use personalization and you want to segment that list as much as you can with unique offers. By segmenting your email list based on donor preferences and past behavior, you can create more targeted and effective email campaigns. Personalization can include the subject line, and you can include that in your message content. You also can include variable donor information. You can reference maybe the last time they gave a gift, and you can include targeted calls to action that encourage your donors to give. I got a great example for that. Last year, one of our clients during Giving Tuesday, they had a 94% response rate. I know that's huge, but a 94% response rate from a very targeted offer to a select group of donors. Now that was really remarkable, and that might be the highest response rate I've seen yet. But it just shows you how really segmentation and targeting can help boost your performance in email. The other thing in email, which I know we all know, is really your emails need to be designed mobile first. I've seen stats all over, but I think it's as high maybe as 70 to 80% of email is opened on the phone first. Now, it doesn't mean that the giving isn't correlating to that number, but for sure they're seeing that email first on their phone. So because more and more people are accessing email on their mobile devices, it's just important to make sure your email is optimized for mobile. And this means using responsive design that adjusts to different screen sizes, using clear and concise messaging that's easy to read on a small screen. Like, we don't want to make them scroll for days, right, on the phone. And using mobile-friendly calls to action that are easy to click. Don't make those buttons so small that we can't click donate. Next, you want to make sure test, analyze, repeat. And I warned you I was going to say testing and analyzing and measuring was going to be all throughout our talk today. But testing and analysis are key to optimizing your email campaigns for donations. This can include A/B testing, different subject lines, your messaging, art, the timing, the days, calls to action, and then analyzing the results to identify what's working and what's not. And by continually testing and analyzing your campaigns, you can make data-driven decisions to improve your conversion rates over time. And honestly, it's fun. And again, it's another place where you really do get surprised a lot by what wins and what doesn't, which is why we test. And I can share with you on our team, we have these massive Excel spreadsheets that someone on our team creates. And we look at all of these results on email, and we look year over year on email. And we really do, it's a continual optimization, I would say, in your email program to look at how the emails are performing, to look at click analysis all throughout. Like, how many clicks are coming through on your, maybe you have a pre-header donate button, how many clicks are coming through on your banner image. We test things like if maybe a banner image is going to have a person in it compared to a really good meal, if it's a meal focused ask, by example. But all those things give you learning. And then again, you're just optimizing your email program over time. And the other thing to remember is just to create a variety of email content to your donors so that every email is not an ask. And even though I'm a fundraiser and I like to ask and I want to grow that revenue, I know not every email can have that focus. So it's because, again, email is one way to have a relationship with your online donor. So in addition to fundraising, you want to make sure you're sending messages out with advocacy and cause and success story and impact and events, volunteers, newsletters, and I'm sure there's more and more and more in there than what I've already mentioned. But again, just think about maybe, what would you want to see in your email? And we all get hit with email every day. And I think I'm in the same boat. If someone is just always asking me for something and not giving me anything in response, I might get a little turned off on that. So that's just an important piece to remember in your email marketing program. And next, this is just a real quick slide I wanted to show about testing. So this is an example of a campaign that we tested last year. And this was, as you can imagine, and you can see, an art test. And the first one over here the first one with the image banner, that was our control. And the banner that says double your impact, that was our test. And this was actually an animated GIF that had a couple different slides in it. And honestly, to my surprise, again, it was my surprise, the test won. And I was surprised because usually we find that our banners with people in them outperform. But for this particular campaign, this one won, and it was, and so we are launching this version of the art this year. And then we have other tests that we're going to be running in this campaign. So this is a good example of iteration, I would say. We started with the left, and now we're moving to the right. And now we're going to add some other options in this one that we're going to test and measure this year. All right, we are winding down. Thank you everyone for hanging in with me. I hope that so far this has been informational. I hope you can tell too, I love that I get to do this and talk about digital. But the next one, this is super important, measuring success and improving ROI. So how do we do that? So one of the first things, it kind of goes back to the start of our conversation today, is about setting clear goals. Measuring success in digital fundraising requires setting goals and key performance indicators, or KPIs. This can include metrics like conversion rates, click-through rates, average donation amounts. By setting these metrics up front, you can measure progress and adjust your strategy as needed to improve your ROI. And I want to say here too, it's important to know that not every goal is revenue. When you are, and what do you mean? What do I mean by that? So for instance, if you are sending out a newsletter, if you're sending out an e-newsletter, you're going to have some revenue goals in there, yes, but a lot of times your newsletter also is directing traffic to your website. So one of your goals of that newsletter is going to be website engagement. And so therefore, that would be a metric that you also would want to report on as a way to measure the success of that. And there's all kinds of goals, like kind of like what we shared earlier. There can be revenue goals, there can be awareness goals. Maybe you're doing email acquisition. Your goal there is going to be to acquire new email addresses. So that's really important. It's an important piece when you're thinking about measuring your campaigns and reporting back to your senior leadership who's asking, how's your digital performance doing? The other thing is tracking and analyzing data. This is something that my team is really passionate about. We spend a lot of time on it, and it's not easy. We get that. It's really tricky. So we lean into Google Tag Manager. We lean into Google Analytics. Kind of as I shared before, that you can get results from your email marketing platform. You can get results from your donation platform, and QGIF has great reporting. We use the reporting all the time to pull revenue down, average gift, performance on independent forms that we're running for campaigns. We use also Google Data Studio. So we suck all of our paid media channels into Data Studio. And then Data Studio is just a wealth of information that helps us analyze how our campaigns are performing. Also, there's tremendous value in using a data warehouse and then putting on top of that a dashboard, maybe that's powered by Power BI or Tableau. Again, those are just more advanced tracking and reporting tools that are really valuable. And of course, there's all types of data in your social channels themselves. And then, like I mentioned earlier, if you're using a DSP for your programmatic, then you're going to get results from there. But in the end, all of this digital fundraising provides a wealth of data that can be used to measure success and improve your ROI. And this is all stuff that you need to report up to your leadership, again, to validate their investment in digital. And today with tracking, you can show results. And these results, again, can be anything from website traffic to revenue to social engagement. And by using all these tools, and by analyzing this data, you can identify what's working and what's not. And you use data then to optimize your campaigns. So it's not a guess. So again, even back on that test, without data on that Giving Tuesday that I showed you, I would have thought the email with the guy won, and I would have been wrong. So I'm super grateful that we're able to now use data to help us make more informed decisions. And last, of course, test and iterate. I think every single one of these channels talks about the value of testing. And I think I know I've talked about that a lot, but improving your ROI in digital fundraising requires this regular cadence of testing and improvement. This can include testing different messaging, visuals, calls to action, and making changes based on what's working best. And it's important to continually monitor and analyze your campaigns and make adjustments as needed to maximize your ROI over time. And again, going back to what we talked about earlier, that's the benefit of digital. You know, when we look at our Data Studio reports that are connected directly to all of our paid media channels, we know real time how Facebook's performing. I know how many impressions my display ads are serving. I know how paid search is doing. So when we launch a new ad, we can let that go for a few weeks, and then we can measure the performance on it, and we can make that decision. Hey, is this performing how we expected? Is this performing how we need it to, or do we need to make a shift? And that is one of the really great things about digital. And this next slide, I just wanted to give you an example of all the different, and this is not all, this is just what I could probably fit on a slide of different KPIs that you can consider to use in measurement of your campaigns. So if you read through this list, of course, donation page conversion rate, in my book, that's probably number one. Website conversion rate, of course, revenue, click-through rate, conversion rates, average gift, ROI, ROAS. Impressions served, website traffic, email opens. Well, and we all know, unfortunately, email open is not a reliable metric anymore, which is terrible for email marketing. But you can still use, you still can use email open rates for some testing. So email open rates in your current campaign, like subject lines, you can still use it. Year over year, you really can't. But again, we're relying more on clicks for the actual revenue and performance on emails. And then, of course, revenue per email, cost per click, cost per conversion. I know there's a ton more out there, but these are just a few that you might want to consider. And then I wanted to share another example of a test and launch strategy that we also did last year. So the ad on the left, this is an example of a test ad that we ran in display. And the ad was focused on monthly giving with a low ask amount initially for that first gift. And that ad performed really, really well. It actually performed better than we thought it was going to do. And so this is a really good example of what I mean by testing and then iterating and optimizing. So we ran the test, and now we're implementing this ad for more of our clients in market. And another thing that I wanted to share, I know we didn't get into a ton of really detailed strategies, but the one thing I would share is to grow your monthly giving program. That is the shining light over the past few years. For many of our clients during COVID, of course, there was the COVID bump, the COVID boost, whatever your team is already calling it. But one thing that has stayed now that we're out of that COVID bump is the rise in monthly giving. And I hope that you and your organizations have seen that increase as well. But according to M&R, even in 2022, for the organizations that they surveyed, monthly giving increased by 11% in market and accounted for 28% of all online revenue in 2022. That is quite a bit of growth. In our organizations that we serve, we're really focusing on building that monthly donor journey, making sure that that monthly donor ask is honestly everywhere where it makes sense. I think also that donors are used to that subscription model, or not even donors, our prospects are used to that subscription model that is out there now, which is also helping us communicate the value of becoming a monthly donor. Well, we are in the final stretch. Thanks so much for hanging in there with me today. I wanted to make sure that I just took some time to go over some key takeaways that I hope you all have written down in your notes as well. So first, audit your digital platforms. Are they performing at industry benchmarks? Look at your key ones. Look at your website CMS. Is it funneling donors to your donation page? Look at, of course, and look at your donation platform, right? I mean, that's just critical. The first thing I would do if I were you is I would pull your donation page conversion rates and check that out. If you're under, I'm going to say if you're under 17%, you should look at that. And you should look at maybe what are the form options that you have. Are you making it hard for your donor to give? Is the form too long? Do you have a phone number as required instead of mandatory? There's all kinds of things that you could change and or test. I would look at your email marketing platform and again, look at tracking. So that's a pretty important piece. The next one would be using multiple digital channels to reach your audience and build frequency. And I know that's really going to vary by budget. So this strategy works really no matter where you are in your digital program growth. If you're just starting out, you're going to first focus on your website and your donation page. You're going to want to have a robust email marketing program that's cultivating your existing donors. And then you're going to want to step into paid media. Why? Because paid media is where you're going to acquire new donors. So maybe you start in paid search and Facebook. That might be a good place. And then from there, you start building more layers and you're going to add display and you're going to increase paid search. Of course, when I say paid search, Google Grant, right? We all know about Google Grant. You want to make sure that's part of your mix, but that's all contained in that topic of multiple digital channels. The next one, to walk away from this talk today, include that monthly donor offer everywhere. Hopefully, this is not a surprise. You guys are all seeing growth in the number of monthly donors. Hopefully, you're seeing growth in the monthly donor average gift. But that's a really important opportunity to make sure that that is in your online and offline marketing. You also can benefit by creating a combined social media content calendar, again, that supports your organic and paid ads. And thanks for hanging in. The last few points here is to build an email marketing program with varied content that cultivates your donor audience. So remember that number. Last year, on average, 60 email messages were sent and 29 of them were fundraising focused, which is honestly, it's a higher percentage, almost half. But again, just remember, send that varied content so we don't burn the donors out on that email file. Put a priority on analytics and tracking and testing. There's so much benefit in that. And of course, we all know we have to validate the value of digital marketing. You have to be able to prove that it's working to all the leadership around you. And you use that as a way to help build your budgets. And last, use several KPIs in addition to ROI to measure your success. You don't want to get stuck always having to defend an ROI on every single thing you do, again, because that's not your goal in all of the different programs that you're going to run in digital. As we mentioned, you're going to be working on email acquisition. That's not a revenue goal often. And you're going to have brand awareness. Brand awareness is going to cost you something. Digital acquisition can cost you something initially. So all of those things, remember, they all blend in. Use your tools. Use your tracking tools, use your powerful program platforms that are supporting your digital program to make sure that digital is working as hard as it can for you. And that's my talk. I just want to say thank you for your time today. I know your time is valuable. If you have any questions or thoughts on digital marketing for your organization, I know we're going to have a Q&A session after I stop talking here today. But also, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly at my email address here. You can see stippett@bdiagency.com. If you have new ideas that you're doing in your organization, I'd love to hear about it. you have questions about anything that I've chatted about today, I can also help answer those questions or get you connected with someone who can. So thank you, QGive. I'm going to pass it back to you.
Thank you, Stephanie. That was great. And I just want to reiterate that last point that you made. Whether you're a QGive client joining us today or someone using another platform, BDI and Stephanie and her team have just a wealth of knowledge to help you all get the most out of your platforms and really see the results that you want from your digital fundraising tactics. So I would just encourage you again to reach out, ask them your questions, see if they can help you see some of the results that they're helping our clients see.
Absolutely. And I know Stephanie went ahead and shared her contact information, but if you are looking to contact another area of BDI, I have their information listed on the slide for you guys. And then also QGive's contact information, just in case you're looking for that. I also want to remind everyone on the webinar today that if you are a CFRE professional and you're working towards maintaining that credential, this webinar does qualify for 1 credit. So I don't want you guys to miss out on that opportunity. So please take advantage of that. So with that, we'll move on to some questions for Stephanie. And I also want to give you guys some time. If you still have any questions and you haven't dropped them in the chat or in the Q&A, please go ahead. Now is the time. So we'll move on to our next slide. But as you were going through, Stephanie, I was wondering, are there any tools or new channels that you've seen pop up that BDI is really excited about exploring?
Yes, actually, text to give. Text to give isn't new, but I think a lot of us, are seeing text to give is maybe coming back around. And I know that QGive offers text to give, which we're going to be adding to some of our strategy for our clients as well. And also there's advanced forms in tracking that we're looking at to better measure the results on our campaigns. And I think this one isn't very sexy, but the other thing that we're really diving deep into is GA4. So I don't know if everyone has hit that one yet. It's a completely different model in analytics on how to view your traffic and how to view revenue. And so we're also looking at how that's going to help us improve our digital results.
Absolutely. And I mean, it directly ties into what you were saying about people opening email on their phones. That text to give is so powerful with how much we use our phones. I mean, I think about it and I feel like my phone is in my hand about 80% of the time, which maybe just speaks to some bad habits I need to work on for myself.
No, I'm right with you. Same.
So you talked a little bit about, getting everybody, all of your board members and implementing those new technologies. Do you have any tips or insights into how to get that conversation flowing in case you have, team members or board members who are not quite feeling like making that next step into digital implementation?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's a real thing, right? So I think that it does go back to being able to prove and demonstrate success in digital. So I think that if you're just starting out, let's say you're not doing a lot of paid yet, but you have your website and your donation page. I think that you can demonstrate value by tracking those key metrics, the donation page conversion rate and your website conversion rate. If you can simply improve that number, we showed that math problem, right? About how just improving that produces more online revenue. I think the other piece of the conversation is also looking at your overall online giving, in that it's different than direct mail. In direct mail, you send out mail, the response rate, you can directly track that revenue back. What's tough in digital is the attribution that's there. So meaning somebody clicks on a Facebook ad, they go to your donation page, they don't give right then, and they leave and come back. So that ends up not being really tracked directly, attributable to Facebook, but you see it in your overall online bucket. So I think, going back to answer your question, you have to present the case, you have to educate, depending upon who you're talking to, you have to educate a little bit about digital. They have to be willing to take a little bit of a risk and investment in digital. And then you also have to be really good about just providing that tracking and reporting.
Are there any data points that you think as an organization just as getting started? I feel like sometimes all the data at our fingertips can be really overwhelming. Are there any specific points you feel like are a good place to start in tracking? I know we talked a lot about conversion rates today, so I feel like you might lead a little bit towards there, but just curious.
Yes, so I would say when I'm just thinking practically, so the first thing I look at when we're reporting, we are going to report on overall online revenue. So let's say I'm going to take a month. I'm going to look at my overall online revenue that came in that month. And then I'm going to try to parse it out by channel where I can. Where can I do that? I can do that in email marketing. Email marketing is usually a direct attribution. We know there's stuff around that. Again, you're going to get the email, you're going to click, you might go away and come back and give later, right? So you're never going to have that 100, you're never going to have an exact split of I raised $1,000 and 500 came from email and 200 came from Facebook. Like that's not a thing in digital we can do yet, but you can show that overall number. And again, those conversion rates, if you can show improvement in your donation form conversion rate, I think that's massive.
Absolutely. Do you have any tips for those smaller organizations who are maybe just starting out on this journey and maybe don't have the manpower to quite split things out as far as they'd like to?
Yeah, I do, because honestly, we work with a lot of small clients who don't have the manpower, but also don't have the budget. And that's a real thing. So honestly, it does start with your website. I know I'm a broken record, but it starts with your website and your donation platform. Those two guys got to be working. And then you throw in some email marketing. And then what I would do next, honestly, is I would use Google Grant 100%. It's free. If you can manage it on your own, there's no cost to that. All that's going to do is benefit you. And then I would focus on a smaller market. We would do Grant, and then we would do Facebook in your key fundraising months. So don't even think you have to do annual Facebook. Yes, great, down the road. Where do you start? Start in fall. That's where you put your money first. And a lot of organizations, that's when the majority of revenue is coming in.
Absolutely. Are there any common, I'll say, mistakes for the sake of making it clear, that you see people make when they're first implementing different digital platforms, maybe taking on too much too quickly?
I don't want to call it mistakes. I just think that sometimes we use platforms that are forced on us by other decision makers in the company. So what I have seen is specific to donation platforms, for instance. Sometimes platforms that are used are because maybe the finance team or accounting team wanted to use it because it integrates easier maybe with the donor database. Okay, I argue against that all the time because I just, that's not the point. If you want to raise more money, then again, don't let your finance team dictate the tools that you're using, right? So again, not a mistake. I think there's just a lot of growth opportunity in digital. And what I love about digital, again, nothing is a mistake, because in digital, you can flip and change and pivot so fast. Even if you make a mistake on your email, you send out an oops email that says, I'm so sorry, didn't mean to do that. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to say thank you again for everything that you've brought to the table today. I know my brain is just, it's like a hamster wheel running nonstop right now, just taking in all the information.
Awesome.
So it's awesome and fantastic that, we have all this data at our fingertips. I know even 2-3 years ago, we didn't have all the tools that we have today. So it's a crazy quick changing landscape that we have at our fingertips right now.
It is. And we just have to work hard to stay up with it, right? And I hear you about getting overwhelmed. I think my closing thought would be, you do have to pick and choose. We can't do it all. Nobody can, or most of us can't, as far as like with our budgets, right? You're not going to be able to go into everything. So just start small and build. And that's what the point of testing is just to build, grow, demonstrate success, add a little more budget, keep growing.
Absolutely. I want to give Brendan the opportunity if you have anything that you want to add into the conversation before we part ways today.
I think one of the things that I wanted to get your, as the subject matter expert here, Stephanie, your opinion on is, we see and we really encourage a lot of our clients to ensure that their tools, their website, their donation forms are mobile optimized. And the reason that we encourage them is because we see that across our full platform, across all of our thousands of clients, the majority of our traffic is through mobile devices. So I'd like some insights from you on, what the importance of that is and how they can go about ensuring that and looking at it and to your point, auditing that to make sure that the experience on the mobile device is what it needs to be to convert at that higher rate, et cetera. So I'd love your 2 cents on that, Stephanie, if you don't mind.
Well, I mean, I 100% agree with you. I think, if someone's using QGive, they don't really have to worry about the form showing well on mobile. You take care of that. We usually recommend the subdomain with QGive, so that also ensures that the mobile, the standard forms that you guys have created, they're already mobile optimized. The other piece of that, though, would be if they're embedding a QGive form, then you have the responsibility of making sure that your entire landing page works in addition to the form, right, on mobile. And so, yes, I mean, when you're working on your website, you do have to have a developer working with you to make sure and you have to test it. So there's a platform called Browser Stack is something that we use where you can see your landing page and all the different browsers that are out there and help you spot where maybe your landing page isn't looking so good, and then you can make those changes.
No, thank you for that. I'm going to look that one up, Browser Stack. I've not heard of that one. I'm sure our team uses it, but I appreciate that. Yeah, that was really it for me. I think the rest of it was very informative, very well-rounded. It gave me a lot of things to think about and continue preaching, because in a lot of ways you reinforced a lot of what we're already sharing and telling our clients. But no, that's excellent. Were there any other questions, Danny? I wasn't looking at the Q&A. Is that it for us? I know we only have 2 minutes left.
I think we hit all of them. If there's no one else who has anything they want to drop in the chat really quickly, I can't keep saying thank you enough, Stephanie, for this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It was so fun. I mean, just to be able to talk digital, I love it. It's just a great deal.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Well, I don't see anything popping up, so we'll let everyone get back to their busy days. I know it's getting close to year end for a lot of your organizations, so you're probably ramping up right now trying to get things together. So we'll give you back your day, but thank you everyone so much for hopping on today. I hope to see you guys again at future QGive webinars.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.